So it looks like they have finally released the 4 stars for the Navia and Nilou banners. Let's take a look, and oh boy. Navia and Nilou banners finally revealed, and we have Ninguang, Kaveh finally, who people have been waiting for forever, and Kirara. Oof! Let's take a look at the weapon banner as well. 2 5 stars, and oh no. Oh, this is not good. Alright, well, let's start with the character banner. I've already gone over the Nilou and Navia value and how good they are as 5 stars. I did a video on that. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. But suffice to say, they're both very strong. They're both pretty good. The 4 stars, however, are something else. I know everyone's been waiting for Kaveh for such a long time. If you want to go for him just to get him, best of luck to you. The odds really aren't in your favor if you're just trying to get a single copy of Kaveh, but maybe you get lucky. I hope if you're just trying to get him because it's been so long since he's had a rerun or just appeared on any rate-up banner. Just best of luck to you, but in most teams he's not really that good. He's a decent Dendro driver in a Nilou team, but his unique ability to explode bloom cores doesn't really help in a Nilou team because she just makes them explode really fast anyways. So as a Dendro driver, he's pretty good, and his ability to get a slight amount of healing whenever he gets hit by a Dendro core and gets the explosion instead of he does take damage, but he also receives some healing back, so he mitigates that a little bit. So he could be a decent driver in a Nilou team for sure if you just don't have a good Dendro character to use. But the other characters, not that great. I see what they were trying to do with Ninguang on this banner because she can be an okay support for Navia to help proc Crystallize so Navia can get more charges for her elemental skill. But honestly, the Geo Traveler is just a lot better, and they're just a lot more accessible for a lot of people. You can get a C6 Geo Traveler a lot easier than you can get a C6 Ninguang. They also buff your character's crit rate with their elemental burst, which is really helpful for Navia because since most of her damage comes from her skill, if it doesn't crit, it feels really bad. And Ninguang pre C6 just really doesn't feel that good, and even at C6, she's not really that impressive. So, that's not really what we wanted to see. And then Kirara as a Dendro Shielder, not too bad as a character, really. Really nice in the overworld for scaling up vertical surfaces. She makes mountain climbing, especially in like the deserts of Sumeru, really easy. However, we're getting a free copy of Kirara in 4.8, so unless you wanted to chase her constellations, again, not really that good, and even Kirara's constellations aren't super amazing. So, all in all, these 4 stars are pretty disappointing. If people wanted Kaveh, just because it's been so long since he's been on any banner, best of luck to you, but if you're just pulling because you're trying to get the best value for your account, these character banners are not it, unfortunately. And now let's talk about the weapon banner, which is equally disappointing. So we've got Verdict and then the Key of Khaj-Nisut. Verdict is closer to a more universal 5-star weapon. It has very high base attack at 674 at level 90. It has 22 crit rate at level 90. And then it also gives you some more attack and then even more damage when you pick up crystallized shards. So that second part, most characters will not really use ever, but the high base attack and the crit rate is really nice. Plus, it's a very cool looking claymore. It is a very elegant battle axe, and you can use it on a lot of different characters. And then we've got the Key of Khaj-Nisut, which so far is one of only 2 HP percent substat swords that we have in the game, that and the Dockhand's Assistant. This is very good for Nilou because she really only cares about her level and HP, and it's good for other characters like Layla. It could be used on characters like Kuki Shinobu, or really just any sword character that really cares about their HP percent. But outside of that, it's not really that good. It's not really that useful. It's got 3 or 4 good uses out of the 80 characters we have now, so pretty niche. And if you're trying to wish for these 5 stars, the 4 stars on the banner seem pretty mediocre to bad as well. Rust, good for normal attacking characters, so basically just Yoimiya. However, a lot of characters you might think it would work well on, it doesn't actually work that well on. For example, if people want to use Rust on Child, it also reduces the damage of charge attacks, and Child does a lot of charge attacks, so you don't actually want that because the damage you get from the normal attacks is buffed, but the damage you get from charge attacks is debuffed, so that's not really a good combination. It's not good on a character like Xiphos as well, because even though he looks like he's doing normal attacks in his elemental burst state, he's actually doing charge attacks. So that actually would reduce his damage too. Definitely don't want that on him. Best character, Yoimiya for this weapon. So if you have Yoimiya and you don't have a Rust, or if you want refinements for a Rust, that could be pretty nice, because an R5 Rust giving you, 80% extra normal attack damage is very, very nice. The best weapon on this banner by far is the Xiphos Moonlight, this sword. And it's really funny because even though they have the Rust situated first here, they actually mention Xiphos first. They know they put this on here. So Xiphos is an EM sword that also gives the wielder an extra amount of energy recharge based on their EM, and it gives the entire team an extra amount of energy recharge based on the EM that they have as well. So an R5 Xiphos is pretty much the best in slot weapon for Kazuha. It's extremely good. Even just R1 is very, very helpful, especially if you don't have something like a Favonius sword to give to Kazuha. Then this weapon ends up helping a lot. And if you have a few energy recharge subset rolls on your artifacts, and then you've got Xiphos as well, a high EM Kazuha with, let's say, probably around 40% energy recharge from subsets, will be enough to get him to use his burst off cooldown, and then he's also giving a lot of energy recharge to your team, so that's really, really nice. We've got the Eye of Perception. This is a very bleh catalyst. It is a catalyst that has attack percent, and every once in a while it releases a little bit of damage. The damage that it does, the additional hit that it does, is physical damage, which is not helpful for any catalyst character. So yeah, that's just that's something you see and you're just like, oh, I didn't want this. This is a weapon you don't really want to get because it's not very useful. Dragonbane seems like it's kind of niche, and it is, but it does have a lot of uses. If you have enough energy recharge, it's really good on Xiangling. It's very good on Hu Tao if you don't have another better option. It's good on Reverse Melt Rosaria. It's also really good on Raiden if you're building an EM build for Hyper Bloom. So it has some uses. It's not totally useless even though it's an EM spear. You can craft a lot of other EM spears like the Katane Cross Spear or the Moon Piercer, but the Dragon's Bane gives you 221 EM at level 90 as opposed to 110 EM from the Katane Cross Spear or from the Moon Piercer, so it's more than double the amount of elemental mastery. And if you're going on a very focused EM build for a character that's going to focus on, let's say, Hyper Bloom like EM Raiden, then that extra 111 EM is really, really nice. And then we have the Bell, which may be one of the worst 4-star weapons of all time. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is the worst 4-star weapon of all time. It has a very, very long, kind of useless passive that gives you a little bit of a shield. And it's really unfortunate because it is one of my favorite designed weapons in the entire game. I think it's so cool with like the horloge clock in the middle. But yeah, it's a horrible weapon. So overall, the value of these banners is very bad. If you're a newer player, the 5 stars are not too bad on the character banner and the weapon banner, but the 4 stars are just not it. These are not 4 stars that are going to help you necessarily in these teams that much. I mean, the 2 Denjo characters will help in a Nilou team, sure, but if you're going to use Kirara with Nilou, she doesn't really apply that much Dendro. You'd be better off using the Dendro Traveler. So if you're going to build a Nilou team, you would probably do something like, let's say you got all of these characters from Wishing on Nilou, you'd probably do Kaveh and then the Dendro Traveler, and then you need another Hydro Applicator. Nilou doesn't do enough, so you'd probably need Jingqiu in there. Or you could do like Barbara, but if you're trying to do split between Barbara and Kaveh, your on-fielder gets kind of jumbled up, so that makes it a little bit hard. And then if you're doing Navia, I mean, you could use Ninguang, but again, the Geo Traveler is just so much better with Navia, and you could do Navia, Geo Traveler, Xiangling, and just have a much better time and a much better team comp than if you were to use Ninguang. So the 4 stars here, they in some ways complement the 5 stars, but not really. And then in a vacuum, without the 5 star and without considering, getting them, they just don't have that much value on their own. Again, most people, I know, just because it's been a billion years since Kaveh's been on a banner, a lot of people will just wish on this banner just for him. And, if you really want Kaveh, more power to you. But in terms of value for these characters and just how good they are, the 5 stars are good, the 4 stars just not really good at all. It's very unfortunate. And then it's even worse with the weapon banner, because the 5 stars, they're not too bad. They've got their uses, but they're still a bit more niche. And then the 4 stars are even worse. There's only one good 4 star out of the 4 that are here. And your luck or your probability of getting the 4 star weapon that you want when there's 5 of them is even lower than when you're wishing on the 4 stars here. So for those of you who don't know, you're guaranteed one of these 3 4 stars every 20 wishes. So there's a 50-50 for the 4 stars as well. You can get a non-rate up banner 4 star, and if you do the next 10 pull within the next 10 pull, you'll be guaranteed to get one of these 3, but there's no pity system. So if you got 66 Kiraras but no Kaveh, there's no pity, there's no guarantee that you'll ever get Kaveh if you keep wishing. Eventually it'll come around, but it could take you hundreds of wishes. And then there's the same thing with the weapon banner as well. There's the 50-50 to get one of the rate up weapons, but then again, you're in a pool with even more than the character banner, so it's pretty yikes. Unless you really want Nilou or Navia, I say just don't wish on this banner. If you've already decided that you're going to go all in for these characters, then by all means just do that. But if you're kind of considering, oh, these might be good, I'm going to see what the 4 stars are going to be, we'll see how much value this will be for my account, it's not it. If you don't have Yelan, hopefully her banner is a lot better, because at this point I think she is going to be the character that gives you a lot more value, and hopefully the 4 stars will be much better there. So if you're wishing for Nilou or Navia, best of luck everyone. But if you're not and you're kind of on the fence, I would say just hold off and save your Primo Gems. Anyways, that'll do it for this one, everyone. I love you, stay jawsome, take care, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.